Hello, 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 hello. Once again, welcome. It's great to have such a big number. Thank you all for joining this event. We are honored to have a special guest who is a refugee woman herself and now the Chief Executive Officer for Hibiscus Initiative to officially open the event. And this is none other than the one and only Matthew Gama. Hello, Matthew. Welcome.
Hi, Olivia. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Hello,
great.
everyone.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
It's so great to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me to do this keynote speech. I'm just so proud of Sisters Not Strangers as a coalition. I was there at the initial start of it, and I'm so proud of how far you have all come along. So this event is called Sisters Not Strangers, a call to action. So how do we take action at this moment where we see so many injustices and inequalities? It's been a year since the pandemic and the UK lockdown. One thing it has shown again and again is the unequal society we live in. The pandemic has shown a light on how Black and migrant communities in this country have been discriminated for decades. It has shown a light on how the progress we have made as women for gender equality for decades can be eroded instantly. Now, instead of focusing on building back better, as this government keeps saying, a society where such inequalities are eradicated, the government is set to penalize migrant women. Over the past 10 years, many of us in the charity sector have been campaigning for a fair and just asylum process. Yet, in the past months, the government's response is a new detention site for women and a new asylum policy, both of which mean the situation for asylum-seeking women are not fair or just. No one leaves their home, their families, their children because they want to, but because they have to. They cannot wait to get permission from their country's oppressive regimes or state-sanctioned violence to flee their country. No one chooses to make the treacherous journeys, risking their lives. No one. And it's a tragedy every time someone makes it. And we know the asylum system already fails to recognize the particular experiences of women fleeing gender-based violence. And a wrong decision at the early stage of the process means suffering through years of destitution. It can mean detention and navigating through a hostile environment. So at this moment, what is our strategy to taking action? I believe we have to work both inside and outside. The government is now in a powerful position with a huge majority, and this is unlikely to change for a while. We have to be able to sit with the government to hold the line and to ensure there is some accountability. We have to also work on the outside, organizing at the grassroots level to continue to raise awareness and to record our stories as Black migrant and refugee women. We act with hope and fierce determination, knowing there will come a time when change will come, when in this country we will have a fair and just asylum process. We have to act now in the many ways, whether we are working on the outside or inside, knowing we will prevail. As Martin Luther King said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And we must not forget that, regardless of the circumstances as we see at this moment in time. The Sisters Not Strangers coalition is key in that fight because as refugee women, we are the vanguards. Our stories and experiences shine a light towards a just and fair society. I am so proud to have been part of the Sisters Not Strangers and to know such incredible women organizing it. We need to act to support this coalition, to support refugee women, to join them and to give them platforms to share their stories and lived experiences. The charity sector has started to recognize the importance of leadership from lived experience, but we can act to do more. So proud that Women for Refugee Women have appointed Alphonsine as the new director, but leadership at every stage is so important. There is a lot to do, but we must not lose hope. We have to act with hope, and act we must. Thank you so much. And Olivia, over to you.
Wow, wow, that is it. We must act with hope. Thank you so much, Matthew, for that keynote speech. Matthew, you are an inspirational person to us, and we are so delighted that you made it. You are able to come and open our event. I'll now invite the amazing sisters behind this coalition to come open your cameras and introduce yourselves. Hi, look at them. Oh.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm Agnes from Birmingham.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alice from Liverpool.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bosede from Liverpool.
Hi, everyone. I'm Comfort from Liverpool.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elif from Swansea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elsie from Coventry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eunice from Manchester. Hi everyone, I'm Gloria from Coventry.
Hi everyone, I'm Ibtisam from Sheffield.
Hello everyone, I'm Jackie from Cardiff.
Hello everyone, I'm Jenny from Swansea and my camera won't turn on.
Hello, I'm Lorraine from Coventry.
Hi everyone, I'm Mariam from Manchester.
Hello, it's Priscilla from Warsaw.
Hello everyone, this is Tandrima from Manchester.
Thank you very much, wonderful ladies behind this group. Well, we are now going to watch a video, and this was made by Anna Ryder, one filmmaker who has worked with some of the women in the network. This video will show us the human side of these wonderful ladies. Enjoy the video.
Are you reading my mind? I don't want my mom on my TikTok. I'm like,
Do I know how to describe it?
I love it.
It's too hot, spicy.
are you serious? Get drunk.
I like David Attenborough.
It works.
That's new. 8 organizations that have come together.
When we meet, we support each other.
I will call it sisters meeting.
It's such a beautiful group of women who are either going through the asylum process or have become refugees themselves.
It was that kind of combination between sharing what we do as well as trying to support ourselves as well.
They are amazing advocates, women who are powerful, who want to use their voices to make a change.
Really difficult question.
Wow. When I watch comedy movies, I find things to laugh about. I mean, Trump, for instance, look at that.
Trump?
Look at what Priti Patel is doing here. What a clown. What is she on about?
Listening to those politicians, it makes me really, really laugh.
What did she say? What? I think I would say the boys make me laugh.
The girls would be like, Mama, what's going on? I can't hold myself. It's so funny.
Teacher could just whine me and say, oh, my food is horrible. You're gonna have to deal with mommy's food until Boris says otherwise.
I rush straight to the shops, to look around.
And get very drunk and walk home, screaming and shouting and laughing and singing.
That's what I miss. I miss the connection between myself with outside.
Window shopping.
Not necessarily I know them, just smiling.
That's what I want to do. Man, this is really dragging now.
Honestly, I can't wait for that day to come. I love listening to music. It's Lynch. Baby, think twice.
Oh, I love knitting. I made this. Yes, I love it.
I love caring.
Helping others.
That's my passion.
To build their confidence and the self-esteem.
The main things for me is education. I think it's the key to anything.
I'm passionate about making sure everyone has basic essentials.
So I got my 3 degrees now to the PhD.
I have so many other things, but I'm just like, I'll stick to those ones because that's what's really important at the moment. To my younger self, oh my God, get a life. Same thing my mom said to me when I was growing up.
I think to love themselves.
If I believe myself, others will believe in me. So that's the basic things for me.
You're gonna have to be dedicated.
I would say you have a right to live your own life in your own way.
You're gonna have to be disciplined.
To hell with what anybody else thinks.
And you're gonna have to be determined.
You have a right to be happy and you should go about making yourself happy. That's your responsibility to yourself. Yeah.
Speechless, but home is It's a place of rest. It's a beautiful place.
To me, it means somewhere where you can have peace.
Peace is a magic one. Peace, that's what we're all looking for.
I love my home. It's a security and a safe place for you.
A warm place where you can just relax and unwind.
It's a place where you get inspired to wake up the next morning.
Not everything. Home is everything to me. I wish we live in peace and we have equality.
We will do our best to break these walls.
Because if there's peace, there's unity.
We will not let this system that tries to prove you wrong win.
We just have to be hopeful.
Thank you, wonderful ladies. I'll now invite. Thank you, wonderful ladies. We are sisters, we are not strangers, and we are not victims, and the condition should not define us. I'll now invite Priscilla and Tandrima to give us a summary of this coalition. Over to you, Priscilla and Tandrima.
Thank you so much, Olivia. I can't stop smiling, and I think I've smudged my lipstick because that is just the best video I've seen in a long time. Before I get cracking, I just want to say how tremendously exciting it is to see so many of you today, and I wish we could kind of do this physically and that I could hug all 215 of you. Anyway, so Sisters Not Strangers. So we're a UK-based coalition of groups that support asylum-seeking and refugee women. You can see our current members hopefully now. There you have it. So membership at the moment covers England and Wales, but we're really keen to have on board groups in Scotland and Northern Ireland too. So as a coalition, our vision is really quite simple. We dream of a world where women who've sought asylum are treated as human beings. Our groups came together to campaign against inhumane asylum policies that really come in the way of that vision. And in particular, we wanted to raise awareness of the harmful effects those policies have on asylum-seeking women, effects that aren't always given the consideration that they rightly deserve. Now, after the COVID-19 outbreak, our groups began meeting on Zoom on a weekly basis. They were quite informal, those calls. We were really using that space to share sort of information about what was happening to the women in our networks, the challenges that they were facing, and how best we could support them. Now, as many of you know, these are women who, were already vulnerable to hunger, homelessness, and abuse. So we really wanted to provide a space for learning, support, and also solidarity. But as the pandemic began to harm asylum-seeking and refugee women more and more, these weekly calls that we were having quickly turned into a space for us to speak together, I guess, with one voice, to call the government out where they just simply weren't doing enough, and to ask for the changes that we wanted to see so that everybody could be kept safe. And we also saw that there was a gap. There isn't another coalition like this in the UK, or at least that we know of, that is just dedicated to the effects of asylum policies on asylum-seeking and refugee women, and a space that's really led by those women. So we created it, and our first research project, which I hope some of you know about, was Hear Us. Now, a lot of formal inquiries were launched by the government on the effects of COVID-19, but asylum-seeking and refugee women were just not being heard. We submitted evidence, a lot of the groups in the coalition, to most of these inquiries. And even though there were, of course, some changes that were made to policy, the women in our networks continued to suffer. Now for HEROS, 115 women from across England and Wales were surveyed on their experiences during the pandemic. And I won't go into detail here, but the findings were just devastating. And while we continue to advocate for asylum seeking and refugee women to be kept safe during the pandemic, we're now becoming increasingly concerned by the recent proposals that were announced by the Home Office yesterday. And I'm talking about the new plan for immigration. There'll be more on that later from our Ibtisam and Shadow Immigration Minister, Holly Lynch. But for now, I'll hand over to Tandrima. But just before I do, and without getting too cheesy on this very public platform, I just want to say what an incredible honor it has been, and it is, to be part of this coalition and to be working alongside these refugee women leaders who, I guess, not only give me the energy, but also the knowledge and the skills as someone without lived experience to keep fighting the hostile system. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Over to Tandrima.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, thank you to beautiful Priscilla, Olivia, Marchu, and all my other sisters on the coalition. Welcome to everybody who has taken their time off to be with us today. It's so nice to have your support. I feel very lucky to be part of this sisterhood. I feel I belong in this family, and that is the Sisters Not Strangers Coalition. As Priscilla said, the women in the coalition are from all around the country. We have been meeting to find solutions and raise our voices together on the challenges and increased hostility that asylum-seeking and refugee women face in society and the Home Office, of course. All of us agree that there is so much work to be done if we want the asylum system to be fairer and kinder. So we made a manifesto to guide us and inspire us and all of you on this journey. A journey that we know will be long and at times very difficult. The core values of our coalition are lived experience leadership, feminism for all women, well-being, action, hope, unity. The words in the manifesto have come from our hearts and through the lived experience of women like me who have sought asylum in the UK. I won't go into too much detail about the manifesto, as you can read it for yourself, but I want to say something about what I think makes this coalition very, very special. The first value that we speak of in the manifesto is led by lived experience. There is a stigma attached to being an asylum seeker. People see us as victims they need to feel sorry for. The system sees us as a liability. We need to change that thinking. And that can only happen if we are at the forefront of change. Unfortunately, though, asylum-seeking women like me don't have much space to use our voice meaningfully. People want our stories, but when it comes to leading campaigns, we are always left in the corner. Sometimes we are asked to give our ideas, but we're not supposed to be a proper part of it, even though these campaigns could affect our lives and in such big ways. The Sisters Not Strangers Coalition does things differently. Women with personal experience of going through the UK's asylum system are able to lead, to decide the direction, and at the same time work with other women without lived experience. These women have committed to supporting us to lead this space. They recognize that these campaigns belong to women like me, but they also recognize our talents, skills, and potential. We all have so much to give. In a way, for me, the coalition is a model for what a kinder and stronger society could look like. The changes we could make, the things we could achieve if we all worked together and supported each other. To end, I want to say to all of you that the vision in our manifesto of a world where asylum-seeking and refugee women are treated with dignity is incomplete without your contribution. We welcome you to join hands with us to drive in the same lane. That's the only way we can make change. To my asylum seeking and refugee sisters in the audience, our coalition is for you and women like us. The constant effort by the UK authorities to break our hope, courage, and spirit must be defeated. We can do this, and we will rise together. Thank you and enjoy today.
Thank you, Priscilla and Tandrima, for that summary. I believe a lot of us in the audience are already getting connected to us. Next, we're going to listen to an audio. It's a 2-in-1 audio video of women's experiences as they go through the UK asylum system. These are real life experiences. So
Asylum process
listen to the video.
makes my life so difficult. I'm struggling with every single detail.
Being an asylum seeker without a job is making me process is so difficult, and I'm struggling with everything. Everything is difficult in this country.
Asylum seeking process is like COVID-19. Same restriction, isolation, no work, fear, yes, fear of prison or deportation. Asylum seeking process is an open prison.
A single mom and the accommodation we live in is so horrible, and I am on section 4. You can imagine the pain.
Some days ago, I needed to let out some emotions. I've been bottling up, but the question is, who do I call to talk to? Where is the shoulder I need to lean on and cry?
Asylum seekers in this country are reduced to absolutely nothing. We're treated as subhumans. We're treated as outsiders.
Asylum process is being ignored by Home Office, and they are driving people to desperation.
In asylum seeker process, I cannot plan for my future because I don't know where I will be tomorrow. We never can make any friendship or relationship because always we are temporary in everywhere.
I am asylum seeker, face hard time during my journey, but the asylum process is more harder.
On the personal perspective, I must say it has snatched the complete peace away.
Being asylum seeker, we face many problems, but most difficult situation when court asks for more evidences and we don't have contact with our country, and we fear that they might destitute us or deport us.
Asylum seeking process has been very stressful and discouraging. Not knowing what will happen because the decision takes very long time to get.
It's a process that you cannot predict what will happen tomorrow or today. It's a very difficult process that you just have to be in until the day you get your status. That is the day that you can know that yes, you are living in that country.
The asylum process makes you to lose your identity. It makes you to question yourself. It drains you, and you lose the sense of belonging.
Not your own house, not getting benefit, not being allowed to work. You combine a lot of things. You were destitute. You became like a beggar.
Real life experiences. It takes courage for women to speak out. And we believe that so many will relate to us after listening to this. I want to say a big thank you to all the women who participated into putting up that piece. Next, we shall have a conversation between one of our sisters and another special guest. The special guest we have will be Honorable Holly Lynch. Welcome, MP, and their shadow immigration minister in the UK. Over to you, Ibsam.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us, celebrating this success of our conference. And yeah, hi, Holly. Thank you for joining us today. Yesterday, we heard from Priti Patel announced her harsh proposal for the asylum system that would make it even more difficult for women like me to get safety in this country. Lots of changes have been proposed, but I wanted to highlight two that we are really concerned about. So the first one is we all are concerned that permanent settlement in the UK will be limited to refugees who have entered the country through resettlement routes. People seeking asylum who have entered the UK in other ways will only be given temporary status even when they are recognized as refugees. So the second point is we are concerned about the limits on appeals and new claims. So Holly, what are your views on the proposals as a whole?
Yeah, well, look, thank you so much for inviting me to join you this afternoon and to follow some really powerful statements there from people with lived experience and to be able to have this conversation with you a bit, Sam. So it's really timely to all be coming together to think about what needs to change the day after these proposals were published by the Home Secretary. There's a lot here to be incredibly concerned about, I'm afraid to say. I think your concerns that she's trying to create very clearly two tiers of support that will be available to people if you arrive here in a way that she deems to have not been through safe and legal routes that she would deem to be illegal, then regardless of whether you've got a completely valid claim for asylum, then it's clear that you will not be treated in the same way as somebody who's arrived through a settlement scheme or one of her safe and legal routes. Now, we all know so often that there's somebody that is fleeing genuine fears, persecution, torture, famine, trauma. So often somebody is forced to make decisions about how they escape that and arrive at the UK in a way that I'm not quite sure has connected as is understood by the Home Secretary. There's a couple of things that I'm particularly concerned about, and I think you've touched on it, that within the proposals it says we will introduce a one-stop process to require all rights-based claims to be brought and considered together in a single assessment up front. Now, our fears, and any expert working with somebody who's been subject to really significant trauma will tell you that that will take time and an awful lot of support to disclose to somebody. And if you also imagine you're disclosing it to somebody that represents the state, so often where you are coming from, the state has been involved in subjecting you to that trauma. So to establish trust and confidence in that system, to be able to disclose that, my fears are the people who most need some help and will be the most vulnerable in need of sanctuary will be the people most disadvantaged by some of these changes to this system. So that's going to be one of the big focuses for us, and I think in all of us getting organised and campaigning against that particular element of some of these proposals.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we can see you're really going to support us with this campaign. So we are really concerned about the harm this proposal, as you mentioned, will have on women. So if we as a group now focusing on women, so we're really concerned about that. So particularly the women fleeing extreme violence like rape, forced persecution, FGM, or domestic violence. So all of the groups in the Sisters Not Strangers support women who have come to the country through irregular routes, women who were brought by smugglers or traffickers, or who were forced to travel on false papers. So these are women who have fled the danger and who need the stability of permanent status so that they can begin to rebuild their lives. So our group also worked with many women who hadn't been able to fully share a story and at the beginning of their asylum process, women who have experienced sexual and gender-based violence need good quality legal advice and of course mental health support. And they also often need time before they can heal and build the confidence to talk openly about their trauma. So it's really important that they can bring forward new evidence in appeal or submit new claim, right? So would you like to comment on this particular Holly?
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right in those experiences of women, as we've already touched on. I think the people who've experienced the greatest trauma and the gravest danger will have left their country and fled in the most irregular of ways, as our government would interpret. So those people who have fled and need sanctuary the most will the people who arrive in perhaps the most unorganized of ways in terms of presenting all of their evidence. You know, if this government's expecting people to arrive with a file of evidence, it completely misunderstands the trauma that people have been through and having to flee in those circumstances. So this is where we are going to have to really establish an evidence base for being very clear about that with government. I think the lived experiences of people and women in particular will be absolutely essential if we're able to persuade them to think again about some of these points. I think there will be allies within government who understand this, and it'll be about trying to reach out to them as well in the Conservative backbenchers to put pressure on the Home Secretary to understand some of the mistakes that she is making. And I am really concerned when we talked about the mental health pressures on somebody who comes to the UK expecting sanctuary and deserving sanctuary and met with some of these barriers. This sense that you'll be granted a degree of status because the UK will be forced to recognise you have a claim for asylum, but because of the way you arrived in this country, that will not be the same as the status of somebody else who came through one of the designated safe and legal routes. This sense that somebody granted that status will be regularly reassessed for removal from the UK. I mean, what does that mean? How often are we going to assess people? What mistakes are we waiting for people to make when we recognise that they've been granted asylum because they deserve to be granted asylum? Why are we then going to subject people to constant reassessments for removal? So these are some of the things that we feel are really quite draconian and are worried about within these proposals. I am mindful that this is not yet the bill, and this is the document which is going out to consultation. So this is where I would really make that appeal to everyone, so get organised and take part in that consultation.
Yeah, true. That's a really, really good and important point. So, yesterday in Parliament, we saw a lot of, as we need this kind of support. We saw a lot of MPs condemning that proposal and how they would stop people fleeing dangerous situation from getting the safety they desperately need. But it was quite disappointing for me as a refugee woman to see so few women MPs speaking about the specific effects that this proposal could have on women. So Holly, on behalf of the asylum seeking and refugee women in the audience today, I want to ask, how are Labour planning to resist this change, but also how will you make sure that the harms on asylum seeking women are considered, that they won't be ignored as they so often are?
And I think you make a really good point. And look, I just want to reassure you that some of that will have just been practicalities, that when MPs put in to speak in a statement, it's done by a sort of random ballot by the Speaker's office. So I'd always like to see more women in the chamber making some of these points, but some of that will always be a little bit out of our hands. But this point that I think you can see the Home Secretary gearing up to try and present, that it's men that come on boats across the channel and it's women that come through safe and legal routes, I think it is completely blind to the reality of the situation and to women's experiences about, we've talked about, you know, the circumstances in which women might have to flee and how they have to make their ways here. She said yesterday, and she quoted the statistic that I think 87% of those who arrive in a sort of undocumented fashion are men. And she said, she asked the question, where are the women and children? Now, we want to encourage the Home Secretary at every opportunity actually to be saying, where are the women and children, and what are the experiences of women and children that must be at the heart of our reforms here. That is the right question to ask, but not if she's going to present it as women don't arrive on boats or in an undocumented sense via air or any of those methods. She's got to recognise that we are just subjecting women to further barriers if they've had to arrive in that way because the dangers they faced were so grave. So I think that is something for us to be very aware of. We're going to have to fight back against that angle in particular by challenging the Home Secretary to at every point think about where are the women and children, and to to be very mindful of her own words.
Yeah, fight back. I think this is what we really want. So how or what can the audience hear? You can see we've got, I would say, mashallah, right? So we've got many supporters here. So what you think we can, how you will invite, and we all gonna invite everybody here to push back and be part of the fight?
Well, look, thank you. It's a really, really good question. I say it's quite timely to be having this conversation. The consultation is about to open. It will run for 6 weeks, and I understand it will close on the 5th of May before the Queen's speech on the 11th of May, and that's where this government will present a bill, a new piece of legislation, which will be called the Sovereign Borders Bill. Please, everybody, I'm just really encouraging you to take part in submitting your own lived experience. I think that is what's really missing from these proposals, and it will be so, so powerful if we can organise, if you can submit those and we can amplify them. That will also help to shape my contributions from the front bench for Labour when I go and organise and try and argue for really significant changes that we want to see in these proposals as well. I know Sisters Not Strangers and Women for Refugee Women will also have lots of thoughts on how else we can organise and how people can share their support for change and their concerns about the elements of these proposals. But please do take part in the consultation. That is certainly going to be one of the most effective ways we can try and push back.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You are now our sisters now, right? So we've got plenty of sisters here and we need more. And thank you very, very, very much to be here. And I don't know, all of us, thank you from all of us. And I want us to conclude with just very short things to take actions and points. So I want to highlight 2 actions that all of you here can take to speak out to protect vulnerable asylum seeker women from these harmful proposals. So action 1, if you got pen and paper, if not, just remember it. Action 1, after the event, please change your social media status. I know you know that, I know it's really working and sometimes people don't like it, but do it, it could work. So on Twitter, Facebook, that's the message. It is not illegal to claim asylum. We are #sister not stranger. So action 2. For those of you who want to do more, so please think about doing more. As Holly said, it's really important we participate in the government's consultation. It is our opportunity to speak out. So please join. This is a call for everyone. Please Please join the Sisters Not Stranger for a short workshop on 15th of April. That's 15th, 15th, April at 5 p.m. It will be an informal gathering over Zoom. We will write personal messages together that we can send to the government's consultation on the proposal. Thank you very much, Holly. Thank you very much, Olivia. Back to you. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Great conversation, great conversation. Thank you, Honorable Holly Lynch and my sister Ibsam. We have the question and answer next, but I would like to introduce to you just at the end of the Q&A, we've got a live performance just by a poem from one of our sisters. So please, the Q&A won't be long because we're trying to make sure we fit in a little of it. But please stick around for that poem because it's an interesting voice from one of our sisters. We've received so many questions and we're delighted. Thank you to all who have sent in questions. We shall be able to answer most of them through our website. We're going to pick only 3 questions, and the first one I'll request my sisters who are going to answer these questions to switch on your cameras. Mariam, the first question was, what can we do? What can be done to support us?
The women seeking asylum in your campaigns that affect us. Involve us at all stages of the campaign from the very beginning, not just to sign off on the ideas you already have, but meaningfully to get our views and to allow us to shape them. Ask us what our interests are. We have a lot of skills to offer. And don't forget, we have unrivaled resilience with everything we have gone through back at home and here in the UK. Secondly, support the Sisters Not Strangers Coalition. Raise awareness of our research and campaigns. Get in touch to collaborate with us. To the women seeking asylum back out there and in the audience, I encourage you to speak about your experiences. Be brave, try new opportunities, and not just about telling your stories. There are so many ways you can campaign. You have a lot to offer. Try new things. You will learn new skills and grow in confidence each time. And to those without lived experience, we need you all as well. Follow our work, our website, and support us in our campaigns. Get involved. Join us on the 15th April. Also, if you know any refugees, talk to people in your community about us. Raise awareness about our struggles. Help people understand that we are human, just like everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. We shall take only one more question from Bosedi, and the rest will be answered through the website. What are your passions, Bosedi?
Oh, thank you, Olivia. I am really passionate about helping old people. So I would like to create or work in a day center for old people. I realize that plenty of old people are living on their own and feeling very lonely. I think it is important for everyone, however old we are, to make new friends. Share a cup of tea together, do exercises, have picnics together in a friendly environment. This is what I could love to do one day. Thank you.
Thank you, Bosedi. And now I hand over to Lorraine. Over to you, Lorraine.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I'm going to read a poem My poem is entitled God, I Love My Son. I wrote this poem in June 2020 at the peak of the pandemic. I normally write on my status on WhatsApp or at the end of every post that I put there, I write, God, I love my son. So it was an artist, Lola, who is based here in Coventry, whom I regard highly and I regard as my mentor, asked me, what does this mean? I see this all the time that you write. So the poem was exploring God, I love my son, which is a status that I use often. As refugee and migrant women, apart from the issues that we are dealing with here in the UK, we have other issues at the back of our mind. In my case, it is my son whom I left at home. So this poem is for all of you, women and men, who can't be with your families and with your children. I'm happy today to share this poem with you. Thank you. So the poem, God, I love my son. God, I love my son. Vachiuta, mwana wani kumtemwa. Vachiuta, I love my son. I had my son when I was still a teenager, back then, Kukaya, Kumalawi. I remember the day I first entered Chatinga labor ward that year. I remember that month, that day. I remember that night. It was 3:50 a.m. that my son showed up. He was cute, and he still is now. Vachuuta, I love my son. I remember the first time he suckled my breast, I smiled, and that will forever stay with me. Children are a blessing, so they say. I agree, I'm blessed. With my son, we grew together, and we were closely knitted together. Vachuuta, I love my son. God, I love my son. My son always knew what I was thinking by just looking in my eye. All those are just memories now. I feel incomplete. He sends me photos that we took together, but that is not enough for me. I feel empty. That connection no longer exists. My son at Kumarawi, where I live here in the UK. Vachuuta, I love my son. God, I love my son, the tagline and status that I often use. It is a way of testifying to God that no matter the feelings that my son may have, no matter how anyone else may judge me for what has happened in my life, I will forever love my son. Like a log, I'll stand with my son. Nothing has or will change that part of me for him. God, I love my son. Vachuuta, I love my son is an affirmation. It is a promise. It is a declaration. I miss my son, and I know he misses me too. We miss each other. Vachuuta, I love my son. Sometimes we cry together on the phone. We console each other, believing that one day our story will change. God, I love my son. Vachuuta, I love my son is a protest to show that whatever barriers that have been put between us, my heart is always with him. God, I love my son. It is a status that comes from the deepest part of my heart. I know I have failed him, but it still stands. God, I love my son. Vachuuta, mwana wanu kumtemwa. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful voice. This is so emotional. So emotional, especially for those of us who left behind our loved ones. God, we love them. I'd like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to everyone who has attended this event. I think you can see the energy and the smile on my face. I'm just so delighted to have you all. Thank you for your time. It's been precious to us. I would just like to remind you of the actions we're taking from this event. At the end of this event, tweet. And then join us on the 15th of April for a workshop. We all need to get feedback to this consultation. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, everyone. We love you. Hello, we love you.